that's what he's got to do. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's a guy that just brings energy to the game. You know, he'll have nights where he goes 4 for 7 or 5 for 7, but the most important plays he makes are not shots. The most important plays he makes are effort plays and diving on the floor and keeping balls alive and those types of things. So that was good to see. And I thought really everybody that played did their job tonight, him included.
Holy smokes, Dwayne Wade! That was impressive. You didn't know he could do that anymore. All right, we're back with the Garden Report on Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio. The person you wanted to talk about tonight, he had struggled from the field. The Swedish Larry Bird was 1 for 7, but he still made an impact in this game, and it didn't really necessarily show up on the box score. Talk about Jonas Jerebko.
Yeah, Jonas Jerebko's having a rough shooting performance lately. He's 2 of his last 23 shooting from the field. It's a lot of botched layups, a lot of missed open jumpers, but he's still making a positive impact. And I asked Stevens about that after the game, and he said what we want is for Jonas to do those little things, whether it's tipping loose balls, whether it's switching on the perimeter and defending multiple positions. Those little things that really make him, I think, somewhat of a fan favorite. A lot of people like Jonas Jerebko, and I asked Jonas about that after the game, and he said, I'm shooting the ball well. I mean, I go to the court sometimes late at night. I go on off days, and I'm shooting the ball really well, and he knows it's going to come. He seems very confident that it's going to come soon. So I think, in terms of the shot, 2 of his last 23, he's going to be all right as long as he's making the positive impact in other ways.
And I think tonight showed that Brad Stevens has faith in Jerebko because he kept him out there. And eventually those shots are going to fall, and I think Stevens has faith in a lot of his players that if they're taking good shots, they just have to keep being out there. And he did make those hustle plays. He's the king of the offensive tip out, which he's always going to do. There's more times of him playing the 3 tonight, which I've never been a fan of, but they kind of got back to him at the 4, especially when the Wizards went small, and I think that's kind of exactly where he needs to be. Going to transition right now. In the fourth quarter, this game got kind of boring because the Celtics, they did play a complete 48 minutes. They were up by 20 for most of the second half, and so much so that the fans started doing the wave. Now, I normally hate the wave, especially at Red Sox games when the Red Sox are down by 5 runs, the Devil Rays, and it's the 4th inning. There's no reason for you to be doing the wave. And tonight, it started happening, and I was very upset. Then it kept whipping around, and it kept going around, and the place was getting louder, and it started a very organic "Let's go Celtics" chant that was not influenced by the noise meter whatsoever. And it actually was the first time this season the Celtics, or the building's filled with that much energy, and you could kind of see the players on the bench. They joined in. So what was your general thoughts on the wave in the TD Garden?
Well, like you, I'm not a big fan of the wave. I think it's kind of lame, honestly. It's just kind of boring. It's not something I like to be a part of. I'm kind of an outsider when it comes to that. But like you, tonight, it got the fans going. And in a way, it kind of, I think, was like a goodbye to the Celtics as they go on a 5-game road trip.
A wave goodbye.
Yes, a wave goodbye. Very good.
Fantastic.
Yes, exactly, Sam. Very good. And they have a tough 5-game road trip coming up. So it's good for the Celtics fans to have maybe their best performance in terms of reaching close to a playoff atmosphere. In terms of they were loud. That "Let's go Celtics" chant at the end of the game was very good. And then Geno time, of course.
Geno time was actually kind of ruined because there's this one guy just absolutely murdering the dance floor about like 7 rows behind the Celtics bench, and they were all focused on him instead of Geno time. But
KG would not be happy.
We've digressed a lot. Let's talk about that 5-game road trip because it's going to be a while before we have another Garden Report. They have a back-to-back with the Magic and the Heat. Then they go to Mexico to play Sacramento. Then they play the Spurs and the Pelicans. Let's just give a quick prediction on what do you think they're going to do. What's their record after those 5 games?
Well, I think you want to go at least 3-2 in those games, especially if you have the back-to-back. However, I'm going to say they go 4-1 in that stretch, which may be a little bit of a difficult test for them. But I think they're really coming along in this game at least. Wednesday was not a good performance, but they finished the last 6 minutes well, and they really capitalized on that tonight. So you face Orlando, who's a fringe playoff team. I think they can take advantage of their matchups because Orlando likes to go small. So the Celtics, they can go small against Orlando, and it'll be interesting to see how they match up. And then on Monday against the Heat, they're having a very good year. That's going to be a tough test. Sacramento, depends on if DeMarcus Cousins plays.
I'm expecting a huge Rondo national TV game in that game, just a real FU to the Celtics faithful. I'm optimistic like you, but I'm going to have to tone it down a little bit just to embrace debate. Thanks, Skip Bayless. And so I'm going to say they want to go 3-2. That's going to do it for us. For Kevin O'Connor, I'm Sam Packard. This has been the Garden Report on Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio.